Hi, everybody. It's Colleen and Belle tonight. I want to get on here because I know in my last vlog I mentioned that I was going to explain how the treadmill fall accident happened. Well, it ended up becoming even more story, and basically I'm thankful to be alive tonight. Okay, so I'll try to make like the backstory as fast as I can because I don't want to bore anybody. But if anybody out there has ever, have a job, you appreciate your job, you probably are over dedicated to your job, like you maybe would do something that's basically you're not on the clock. That particular Saturday, I was reaching out to my boss about something that needed to get tended to. So by the time she was reaching back to me. I had just started the treadmill. Now, normally my routine when I'm on the treadmill is to basically, if I'm going to get off, of course, I hit pause and then I watch television while I'm on the treadmill. So I always also pause whatever I'm watching. So, of course, then the room is quiet because the television, I always bring the volume up pretty loud so I can override the sound of the treadmill. So my boss had texted me like a question that I needed to ask. Actually, I've got two different people in my household, my son and my daughter, that I'm blessed to have them also be coworkers of mine. One is super minute thing that my son does for a particular event that my company does each week. And then the other, my daughter, she just works full time with me. Not for me, but just under the same company that I work for. So basically, my boss texted me a question that I had to ask my son. So I paused the treadmill, jumped off, paused the television, ran and asked him, got the answer, got back on the treadmill, text the answer, and kept going. And then she writes back, well, can you please have your daughter write this on the website to explain something. And this event thing that we do, our company does, I'm not even responsible for it anymore. The person that actually took it over I'm sorry if you ever see this person or the person I'm talking about. If you ever see this, sorry, but I'm talking. But basically, that first week it was just a whole botched up mess, and so I just didn't want the people that normally are participating that have been happy with it to be disappointed. So yeah. So anyway, so my boss said, okay, well, have your daughter write this on the website. So I'm like, okay. So at this point, what I was watching was Jimmy Fallon. It's recorded, and he always has the music guest last. Well, it was a particular rapper that I didn't care whether I saw the performance or not. So I went and I hit pause just the same, jumped off, but didn't pause the television because I figured, if it was over with by the time I ran back in, it wouldn't matter. So I basically took my phone because it was a certain thing that had to be written on the website. I handed my phone to my daughter and said, "Okay, here, just take it. Do this what she's asking." And my treadmill's on pause. I don't want to mess up my clock time, so I'm gonna run back in. So I run back in, and the TV's going, and I don't even think that I have to worry about the treadmill not being off, not being paused. So I basically just like jumped right on with it going like 4.0 clip time and boof, right? So boof, and the things like rolling on my face, and I'm trying to pull my hands up, like to pull my face up off of this, and it just kept going out from under me. So then I'm hoping, can I at least be like how the sitcoms are, where someone just rolls off the back end of it? And that finally did happen. And if I'm able to load in the pictures of how the stuff looked right after it happened, I'll do that too. Okay, so I told you I got hurt, and then and this is kind of a funny part of the story. Now it's funny. So once I rolled onto my button ski, and once I realized that blood had dripped onto the carpet, I'm like, oh crap, because I just cleaned my house. So I'm like, I gotta get up and get to the sink so I don't like make a mess. So I ran to the sink, and it's drip, 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 drip. And but I shouldn't say just little drips. Like we're talking, like I'm wondering how much blood I'm going to lose. And then I'm calling my kids' names one after the other, and then I'd say help. Well, my daughter explained to me later that from her room it just sounded like hee 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 hee. And finally, because it was so consistent, she thought, that kind of sounds like mom. So she, of course, looks in the doorway. She's seen this treadmill going full blown. She's seen the television going full blown, and but there's nobody on the treadmill. So that's when I can feel a presence that finally someone is within ear distance. So I called her, and she comes over, and she's trying to figure out just how bad it was. And the blood had dripped to the point where she thought actually my whole eyebrow had gotten basically like sliced off, and it was just dangling, but it ended up just being like coagulated blood. Don't you love it when I'm so detailed? so anyway, so then a friend of ours that we also work with also does physical therapy. So she has some medical background. So we want to take a picture of it and show it to her. And then she was going to kind of let us know if I had to go to the emergency room or not. Well, we thought that we were, or at least I thought, because she was explaining that, the scar was going to depend on kind of like who sews you up. So if the hospital has a plastic surgeon there, you basically won't have a scar. But if you get just sutured up by anybody, there's probably going to be a pretty sizable scar. I'm not going to say I'm vain, but because I don't think I'm vain, but it's just, I don't know. I just kind of thought, I don't know. She's talking about these steri strips, and it seems like that's a pretty good way to go. Because I had my daughter call the hospital, and they said that it depends on what the doctor deems worthy as far as calling a plastic surgeon. And I'm thinking, well, that's not going to happen. So we rinsed it off with water. We did the Neosporin, and then after the Neosporin, then we put on the steri strips. And I thought, okay, now it's just a matter of this whole thing healing, right? So, okay, and then fast forward, then I did the vlog, and I talked to you guys, and everything I thought was fine. And then, so that was Saturday, the 19th. Well, then on that following Tuesday, I wasn't feeling great, just kind of fatigued and a little bit achy. And, the way the media has been talking about the flu, I was just thinking, oh, crap, I sure hope I'm not getting that. Because I'm usually, like my whole house at Christmas, everybody was sick but me. And I'm also very kind of cautious about how I go about this stuff. But even that Tuesday night, I didn't even feel like going on the treadmill. I just didn't feel it. So I went to bed early. And then through the night, when I'd get up, like to go to the restroom or something, I felt awful. But then I started looking in the mirror, and like my face was blowing up, like big puffy eyes and cheeks, just like my face had become like this big square thing, kind of like that robot on the Jetsons. Remember her? Yeah, that was the shape of it. Kind of looked just like that, actually. So, oh, don't get excited. So anyway, you're thinking, well, that's really weird. I mean, why would a flu or whatever it is cause this? So that next day, I've just felt awful. So I just stayed in bed, drank fluids that I could, and just slept like as much as I could. And I also, sorry, I guess this is something you shouldn't admit, but, I dug around for whatever pain medicine I could come up with from the past that would help me, like, just not feel how bad I felt. So that was Wednesday. So then Thursday, basically, my whole household is saying, you've got to go to the doctor. Because I asked my daughter, I said, can you Google body aches and swollen face? And she was like, well, when you do that, the two aren't matching. The two aren't like two symptoms from something. So I go to the doctor, and by this time I'm also nauseous. And it just basically, it was the kind of pain where you just were thinking you've just gone to hell and you hope you're going to be able to get back. And also felt the nauseous sick. So the doctor walks in, and he immediately explains to me that that all that puffiness wasn't even fluid. That was not fluid at all. It was hard. And it's funny because he kept trying to figure out he kept asking me if I had had a face treatment or something to do with a face treatment. And I said no. And then it all dawned on us after we left the doctor. It was from the treadmill. Because what I got from what he explains, is basically I got staph, or basically like a strep throat, but in the face. So, really fun stuff. So when you think about it, before you judge me, how many of you, go ahead, raise your hand if you do, and then, I guess you can do, that'll give you the permission to smack me. On the treadmill, how many of you, like, make sure that you take that tread that's on the treadmill and wash it down with, let's say, rubbing alcohol, all the time, to make sure it's a real clean environment down there on that tread. I don't. I'm sorry. I will probably be a lot more careful from this point on. But to that point, I mean, when you think about it, at least the running shoes I use them on the treadmill, and I also use them when I go walk my dogs and anything else that's like an activity. Well, there's all kinds of stuff you're walking on top of with shoes. So that treadmill, because of the little grainy, the tread that's on there, whatever stuff gets in the nooks and crannies, who knows, and of course and who's going to expect their face to be planted on it? So here's the lesson, I guess, is that number one, I know in my case, if you had that little thing that makes the treadmill stop when the cord gets pulled, that wouldn't have worked in my case. Oh, I have another part of the story I got to tell you too, because I thought the thing was paused. But the other thing that was really weird about that day too is that while my daughter was still trying to figure out if I was going to still have an eyebrow or not, I had told my son, I said, go shut that stupid thing off, because it was still going. And he goes, how? And I said, well, you push the red stop button. And so he hits it, and he goes, it's not doing anything. Well, my daughter just thought he was just being a lame-o and that he didn't know what he was doing. So she goes over there, and she does it, and it didn't pause. So it wasn't until she actually switched it off, and then it stopped. So it was just a whole calamity of stupid stuff. Like, you figure, number one, I shouldn't even cared about what was going on with the job that I work for, because I wasn't on the clock, and it wasn't even my responsibility of that particular event thing that was going on. It was just me caring about the people that I had helped with before, not wanting them to be disappointed. And then for whatever reason, and then usually I would always pause the television. So I didn't pause the television because I didn't care about that show. So that was another like out of my norm thing. And then the next thing was that why didn't it stop? Why didn't the treadmill stop? Who knows? So yeah. And so there's that whole story. And so here's part of my excuse. I have not been in front of my email since doing that vlog. Because when did I post it? Did I post it on, because I know I did it on Saturday, but I think I didn't upload it until that Monday. And then you figure right after that was when so I think actually I answered some comments on Tuesday when I was feeling just kind of so-so. Well, then after that, I've just been like down for the count. Actually, yesterday was the first day back to work. And this is the first day that I would say I look back to normal. Before that, I was really starting to get very scared that I would just be a freakazoid for either a long time or maybe ever. I don't know. It was not good. So hopefully this vlog can be somewhat entertaining for you guys. Hopefully I'll be able to also add the pictures so you can kind of see it. The only picture I didn't take, and I'm sorry now that I didn't, but it was when the staph was full blown in my face, because I don't know. Did I not feel like having a picture taken? Probably not. Probably good to have it just to, be able to show what that ends up looking like. Oh, no, she hears the other dogs. Stop. So anyway, okay. I guess that's Belle saying we're done. Hold on. So anyway, just so bear with me as far as answering your questions about doing vlogs that actually answer your questions, because I still do plan on doing that. Just give me grace, have patience, understand that I went through hell and back because of that stupid staph, and also, can you pray over me, please, so I don't have any more calamities for 2013? I think January's already been enough for me as it is. Thank you very much. Okay, so love you all. Thank you again for everything, and I will definitely be doing the answer stuff like I said, and also whether it be through comments or on a vlog, or if you go to my website and you have a question, I answer through there too. But like I said, you just have to give me grace, because all that happened last week was so not expected and so horrible. Oh, and also too, the doctor definitely confirmed I did not have the flu at all. The body aches were actually stemming from the fever of my body trying to kill off the infection. So there you go. All right, guys. So love you all. Have a good week, the rest of it. And I hope to be answering some questions soon. Huh, Belle? Bye, guys. Bye.